All right, everyone, welcome. Happy Wednesday. Today we are going to talk about how to subdivide land, how to look up comps for those subdivides. So essentially how to price the land itself and then how to price the subdivide. So the individual parcels that all of a sudden you're going to kick out. So we're going to talk about that today. We're also going to talk about funding and how to get funding behind some subdivides and other land pieces. And then we will go and comp some properties, and that'll be really fun. Potentially comp some properties. I think maybe down in Texas, maybe one up in Connecticut, maybe one out there all over the place. So uh, awesome! Thank you guys for coming, and let's dive in. What's up, everyone? I was about to say good morning, but it's not morning anymore. It's definitely afternoon.
Still morning
Couple
here.
of familiar faces. What's up, Seth?
Hello,
Mr.
hello.
Tommy. How you doing, man?
Doing good. Doing good. How about you?
Good. Good, good. What's up, Tommy?
What up, Sam? How you doing, man?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. I've been seeing you posting on social media about this, and I've been diving into one lot at a time, Daniel Apke's book, and yeah, I just want to surround myself with people who are doing the thing.
Nice. That's awesome. I love it. Well, thanks for coming in. I'm glad your FOMO drew you in,
You did.
which is awesome. So I love it. Appreciate it. Jenny, how are you? I see it looks like she's in the background. Maybe she's doing something, but awesome. Do you guys have any questions burning questions that you want answered or that you have any ideas about that you're unsure about? Seth, you got anything?
Let's see. I found something that I just wanted to kind of review with you maybe and then
Sure.
get your thoughts on it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna post it here I haven't called anybody on it. I just found it the other day, but
Awesome.
it's
Cool.
30 acres in Shelby County
Okay.
and um looks like the people that own it want to keep like 3 acres of it, but I mean, in everything that I've been looking at, it looks obviously overvalued just because I think it has. I don't know how long it's been um on the market, but just for the area, it's from what I got from Pebble, some of the comps in the area, I was only able to get about eight, but the going rate per acre is about 34,000, just north of that, and then this is around 50,000.
Okay.
Um, but it has over 700 feet of frontage, and so kind of based on some of um, the lots in the area too, it kind of looks like maybe you could like do three separate parcels on it, and maybe if you're able to talk them down a little bit. I was just kind of maybe capitalize on subdividing, but I don't know where they would want to keep three of the acres for their own homestead. Like I don't see any building on it right now. I don't know if they'd be building that or anything like that, but just kind of interested to see where your thoughts are on that.
Okay.
There's a
So I
huge,
mean,
like right north of it, there's like a huge development too. So, and then I think in the last 6 months, there's been 44 sales of new builds in the area too that are 2025 and newer. So there's still some newer construction in the area, but yeah, there's a huge development right there. So
mhm.
I just don't know if it's moving south or if this is just they wanted to keep this rural or whatnot. But yeah, I just wanted to kind of see what your thoughts were on it. And
Yeah. Cool. Sweet. Let's check it out here. All right.
Mhm.
So essentially, let me make sure I'm understanding this right. So essentially, the owner wants to retain 3 acres for an estate of some sort,
Yeah,
right? So I imagine that they're probably going to want 3 acres,
upfront.
yeah, upfront because they're going to want road frontage to it, right?
Mhm.
Um, in terms of subdivide, let's see here. I'm gonna pull this up just because it's a little bit easier and I like the land insights little calculator that we can draw on there.
Yeah.
See if I can pull this up a little bit better. Perfect. So here it is. Looks like we got a crazy little plane glitch there
Plane
from the
flying
semi.
by.
A little plane just casually rolling by. But cool. So this looks like the land here. And it
Hmm.
looks like there might be a house or something there. So that
Oh.
little box is like an AI building. So I'm not sure if they grabbed that like in the winter or and like identified that as a building or
Hmm.
what exactly that is. Um, cool. So when we look at this,
So the interesting thing too, it's we ran into this the other day too, where it's like it's on Land Watch, and it's on, but it's not on like Zillow. It's off market on Zillow. So I don't know if they're, I don't know if that makes a difference of like how they're trying to be. Oh, it
uh,
is. Okay, it wasn't on the other day. Never
yeah. So it's the lot one and part two.
mind. Okay.
So, because I don't know if you when you were talking, I was quickly kind of buzzing through it, and so
Hmm.
when I went and I saw it and it said not on market, and then I'm like, oh, 1.6. I bet this is it, and then I just
Hmm.
clicked on it. So
Gotcha.
when you punch in the address, it won't necessarily show for sale, but
But then
now,
things, yeah.
yeah. So 38 days, 79 views, six saves.
Oh,
Okay.
I see. Okay, yeah. So yeah, so it's probably a little too new to do any negotiating or anything like that right now.
Not necessarily. I mean, you certainly can. Let's see here. What county is this in?
Shelby,
Shelby. All right, cool. Shelby County, Shelby County, Tennessee.
Tennessee. Yeah.
Let's just see what the road frontage rules are on this. So no more than four lots,
Hmm.
no new streets. Interesting for the minor subdivide.
Oh, that's a minor. So you can't put like a road through it and then like subdivide off that main road, like off the road, so you have more frontage.
You can. Um,
But for minor subdivides, it's saying.
yeah. So it all depends on if you want to do minor or major,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So the beauty of minor subdivide is that essentially you can go in and you can just cut the parcels and it's some
Mhm.
surveyors. You don't have to lay a road or anything, and you just boom, go. And oftentimes minor subdivides don't require public hearings, which is like oftentimes the biggest battle, especially when you get into rural America, is that, a lot of these people don't want those. I know I don't want a big old community built in my backyard, kind of thing. And
Yeah.
very fair. And so I think that's a like another challenge of the subdivide. That's why if you can do a minor subdivide, it's just so much easier because oftentimes it's just administratively stamped, or you have to go in front of like a zoning or planning committee, and they tend to look at things a little bit differently than people whose backyards are like literally right up against it. That makes sense.
There's right there. It says or meet the minimum 4 acre lot size requirement if
Yeah.
serviced by a well or septic. Okay.
Um, let's see if it'll give me the minimum road frontage, because I think that's what we're going to be running into the most. Um, I want flag lots. Let's see if we can see this. Apparently, Google's AI doesn't know that it's in here. Okay. Sweet. So there's no minimum road frontage. That's
Okay.
rare. Um, that's cool. Must meet the minimum lot width.
Mm,
Let's see here. Do we know what it's zoned?
do not.
Okay, that's all right. I will find out. Or here, AI will find out. Don't you love AI? It's just so much easier. ZA or CA, excuse me.
DA. Yeah.
CA. CA, and so conservation ag, 100 feet to 150. Okay, sweet. Cool. So
Okay.
there's our kind of total of it. All right. So, and we can have, what did it say? 4 lots,
Mm-hmm.
right? 4 lots and 100 feet. Okay. Let's draw, shall we? All right.
Sure.
Let's check and see. So right now what I'm doing is I'm just checking to see how much road frontage we had. This looks good and healthy. All right. So
Mm-hmm.
762 feet. 762, and we're just going to divide it by 4. All right, because we have
Oh,
approximately 4 lots that we could potentially put in here. So
and
190 feet.
and they're gonna keep 3 acres too. I don't know if you want to factor that in too, but
Yeah. So the biggest thing that we need to know, June, you haven't called them yet, have you?
mm-mm.
Okay. So then we would need to know, hey, where do they want their 3 acres?
Yeah.
Right? If they want their 3 acres in back, that's going to be a giant pain in the rear. If they want it like just like up here,
Easy.
awesome.
Yeah.
Great. So I'm just gonna roughly estimate it to begin with here, and then we'll kind of take a look at this again and just kind of see where this roughly draws out. So if we were to give, so it's roughly 8 acres
Mm-hmm.
in through there. I don't know how straight my lines are there, but we'll see in a minute. Not straight is the answer. So let's bring this down a little bit. All right. 8.2, 8.6, a little bit more within there. And then let's say, so we got 192. We're gonna pretend like they want down here in this corner.
Sure.
So what if we go here, get that one, and then we're gonna pretend like they want, I don't know how much is 3 acres. I need a little bit more.
Close though. It's a good eyeball.
Yeah, a little approximation never hurts, right? All right. So we'll just say they want their 3 acres, and we're going to give them those 3 acres right there.
Hmm.
All right. So I wonder what if we do this on this one? So we need the 192. We need what, 150 feet? I'm just going to get real fancy
Yeah.
here. Let's try this. Just for fun. 150 feet. See how steady my hand is today. Not steady. All right. But then what if we go like this? So then these people are going to get a slightly larger parcel.
Mm.
And this one's going to bump down a little bit. But you could potentially do something like
Yeah.
this, where it's a little bit more evened out potentially, or, build something similar like around this. This is kind of pseudo flag lot, but not like a true flag lot. Do you know what they mean when they say flag lot?
It looks like one.
Yeah, I mean, kind of, right? I mean, like here, I'll just draw like a flag lot to give you like
Yeah.
a real quick example. Like a flag, actually here, let me delete this real quick. So a flag lot would be something like this. And just pretend like this is like the whole like boundary
Hmm.
here.
It's got that just a tiny little bit of frontage there.
So it's enough frontage, enough road frontage to satisfy their requirement, right?
Yeah.
So say it's like 100 feet, right? Then you're like, oh, look, I got 100 feet, right? And then it opens up to a much bigger piece of land or parcel back behind there.
Hmm.
Um, these parcels are can be more desirable or can be less desirable depending on the person and your buyer. In general, they are less sellable and less desirable to most. The main reason being is because oftentimes this will have like a driveway, a long driveway that they might have to maintain. It might be, like an easement through there, whatever it may be. It just, because of that kind of long, skinny area,
Hmm.
sometimes they're not as desirable despite having a whole bunch of access to land back behind there, that sometimes can give some privacy and stuff like that. So that's why I say it depends like who your buyer is because sometimes they'll be desirable, sometimes they won't.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's a flag lot. And I think they mentioned something about flag lots in here. Maybe. Oh, sorry. This thing is scrolling super fast. Where did I see that?
It was it was up a little
There
bit
it
right
is.
there.
Are heavily restricted in minor subdivides. Yeah. In general, yeah. So there you go. The
Hmm.
other big piece about flag lots that a lot of people don't actually know or understand is that emergency vehicles sometimes have a hard time finding the entrance to the land. And
Mm.
so that's another piece why they don't like the flag lots is because if this is under, say, somebody has a house back through here, right? And even if the house is like right here, right? When it pulls up on the map, sometimes it can be accurate and sometimes it can't. So, emergency medical services, fire, police, ambulance, all that, sometimes they can't find the driveway because you only have 100 feet. That's not very much to find a driveway, right?
Yeah.
And oftentimes, too, it's more secluded, it's narrow, right? And so that can be another reason why. And then the driveway and the heavier vehicles, like a fire truck getting back through there, can be really tough. So that
Hmm.
oftentimes from the county side, why they restrict those flag lots. So
Gotcha.
yeah, little flag lot side tangent there, but hopefully that's helpful. This I can see that would probably be okay. I don't see that's not really that much of a flag lot. Um, But that would be something though that like you'd have to start running through the city in through there
Yeah.
to
And
try
that
and
and
see what they
that's I
want.
guess it would also depend if like they're like, hey, we want, if they wanted to kind of like switch that, right? Of their like how we have the acreage drawn out for their 3 acres, and they're like, we actually want 500 feet or what, 300 feet of road frontage, and that's what we want for our a shallow lot, but more road frontage. And then it's like, okay, then you really have to manipulate stuff there. So that's
Hmm.
what I guess like taking a you have to call on them and seeing what their expectations are on this. But
Yeah. And then figuring out, hey, I saw that, they want to retain 3 of the acres. Do we know where they want to retain that?
yeah.
How they want to retain that? Is in the southeast corners, in the north, south, northwest corner of the
Hmm.
property. Like where on the property are they trying to retain that acreage? Um, And depending on where that is, then obviously then your drawing gets flip-flopped or mashed or whatever. If they say, oh yeah, we want 3 acres in the southeast corner, okay. That's cool. I understand that. It's probably like the best part of the property. That's probably why they would want to retain that, right? Or the most beautiful or creek running through or whatever it may be, right? The challenging piece with that is, hey, if we want to do a subdivide of this and even divide this off, you're going to have a lot more than 3 acres.
Yeah.
Right? And so the 3 acres is really tough, and I can't do a flag because of XYZ, right? And so you can start kind of running them down those types of scenarios. Um, and if they want a lot of road frontage, be like, hey, listen, that's cool, except for like I can't really subdivide the rest, so I might not be the buyer for this one.
Hmm.
And just, see what they say. I think this could be a kind of a cool one to try and figure out, especially too, given the rules of no road frontage. That's super helpful, but no flags.
Yeah.
So what do they consider a flag, right? Is this
Mhm.
considered a flag? If it is, you're kind of hosed,
Yeah.
right? Um, and so I would be very curious kind of what the seller is looking for in retaining those 3 acres, and then also too what, you could potentially do in terms of like drawing it out, if that makes sense.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Kind of a cool one though.
And
I
in
wonder.
terms of where it's valued and kind of what like how would we go about like looking at that in terms like with like an asking price and then possibly like if we're gonna say we're gonna move forward with this, we got it all figured out. We want to do the 3 lots. Like
Mm-hmm.
how would we underwrite this?
Yeah. Great question. How to underwrite a subdivide. Ready, go. All right. So there's a few different things that go into underwriting a subdivide, such as something like this. The first piece is trying to figure out how much is the regular 30 acres worth, right? So how much is that worth? My gut tells me it's not worth 1.6 million dollars. I could be wrong, right?
Hmm.
30.92 divided by, or sorry, 1.6 million dollars divided by 30.92, $51,000 per acre.
Yeah.
Undeveloped raw land. Probably not worth that. Now, I don't know. So so let's take a look here. Lot size, we're going to go 20 to 50 acres. All right. I know it's right about here, right? That's kind of where it was on the map. So let's look at this one right here, which is probably a really good, probably close comp on this. So 921 vacant land home. What does that mean? Was there a home on there or not?
Structure. Yeah.
Let's see here. And I'm sure it's probably being developed by a developer. Yeah, it looks like it is. Right? Because can you see all the housing prices already in here?
Mhm.
Right? So somebody turned this into an entitlement project. And of course, this won't load. But we can get an idea though. Well, yeah, I mean, you see all these
Hmm.
roads in through here. It's connecting to another development, right?
Can you
So
see when
somebody
Okay.
that
probably
sold?
took those. What's that?
Can you see when that sold?
Yeah, I can. It sold in March of
Pretty
this year.
recent.
A couple months ago.
Yep. Yep, about 4-ish months ago. And obviously it's already, and I don't know too how far down the entitlement path this already was when it was sold, right? That's the real challenge of this is, my guess is because it says vacant land home, my guess is that it probably wasn't done much of anything. My guess is that it was probably just vacant land. And maybe like an old house or something like that was on there that it was essentially the land was purely in or the value was purely in the land and not in the house where it was probably just a bulldozed house, an
Mhm.
old house that needed to be torn down in order to build this subdivision in through here. So there's one for us. I would call that one probably pretty good. And
Yeah.
it's 32 acres. Let me do the math quick. 921, right? Divided by 32.49. That's,
27, 28.
yeah, 28 an acre. 28.34. 28,348 per acre. So that would be one. This is probably not going to be one because it's off a main drag. Yeah, that's also probably zone commercial too, given that it's right next to a whole bunch of commercial area. Let's zoom out a little bit. Oh, of course, it's right next to Mississippi. But also too, that's a really good thing to actually think about, right? Because can you comp land from Tennessee into Mississippi?
Probably.
Yeah, yes, but no, right? So Tennessee has different taxes and
Mm.
I mean, taxes is the first thing I think of, right?
Yeah.
Tennessee has much different taxes, property taxes, income taxes, sales tax is different than Mississippi. And so comparing the two are going to be really, really hard to do. Um, I'm not sure if there's going to be really another really good comp here. This is off the highway again, or like off the main drag a little bit. It looks like this might have been, wonder what this is zoned. Let's just check this out. High profile locations. How about that?
Agriculture, it says down below.
Hmm. Right down here. I agree. Which I'm not surprised. Most of this land probably around here was zoned ag,
Hmm.
um, despite it having a bunch of trees and everything on it. Probably no animals on there. At one point there probably was. And it looks like this one already been approved for high density, so sewer, electricity access already, which is fine. It's probably right off that highway, so probably not super surprising there.
Hmm.
That was 900K divided by 23.5. So that one's at that 38K per acre as well. 38,297 per acre. So I think they're trying to get probably a similar price point as that guy. However,
Theirs was up at 50, 51, I think, at their where they're priced at.
the 1.6,
Yeah.
yeah, and they want to retain acreage.
Hmm.
Yeah, 51. So I mean, I don't want to say they're dreaming, but they're dreaming a little bit. I think that's kind of like make us move kind of
Yeah.
price. I would say this is probably like a really good comp, because it sold really recently, like 3 months ago, right? Almost
Hmm.
same acreage, same general area where it's kind of the other side of this housing development, this
Yeah.
Majestic Trail area. So I would say that's like a really good comp for this. The other piece of it too is obviously we have that 1.6, that's us, 2.5, but that looks like it's in kind of a highway area. They're dreaming on that too. Um, oh yeah, 900 days on market. Yeah, somebody will buy it eventually.
Yeah.
Um,
Like we don't need the money.
yeah, that's we've owned this forever and ever. I'll take a stab at it. So my gut tells me strongly overpriced.
Mhm.
Especially too if they want to retain that 3 acres. Um, Is it automatic? No, I think not. I mean, I think it's still worth a call for you, Seth, and check and see if they have, hey, I see, looking at this land, I saw that it's 3 acres. What was the original idea around it? Where do they want to keep those 3 acres? What's the thought process behind all this? More than likely that 1.6 million, they're targeting somebody who's gonna go and build this.
One of those up there. Yeah.
Mhm. Cookie cutter. Cookie cutter, very small lots subdivision. I mean,
Hmm.
these are 0.34 acres, so third of an acre lots. I mean, they're pretty small and packed in there.
Yeah.
So that's my guess as to what they're targeting. Doesn't mean that's necessarily not a deal. You just need to get them down quite a bit on that.
Hmm.
Because once we look at the actual land value of how much the total land is worth, then we can start diving in. Like, let's now do like the next level due diligence, right? So say this comps perfectly out. You're like, oh man, they're asking like pretty much on or less than market value, right?
Hmm.
We'll just pretend like they're asking 900,000 for this.
Hmm.
Or say they're asking 800. We're really excited. Like, ooh, baby, it's under market and we can do a minor subdivide. Let's check it out. So we have this now we have essentially anywhere from 9 to 10 acre parcels. All right. So now we need to go and comp these because now we figured this out and said, hey, we can do this. They're going to retain that 3 acres. Let's check and see how much 9 to 10 acre parcels are worth. and see if that math works out. In general, hi Casey. In general, um, if you can get smaller, generally speaking, smaller acreage tends to go for higher price per acre,
Hmm.
generally speaking. So let's check and see that on here. So I'm going to do just the same. I'm going to go to solds, but this time though, I'm going to drop the filter. We're going to go five, what do we say, 10 acres? We'll go 20. So let's broaden it out a little bit and see what we can come up with. So it looks like there's a few that were done. Ooh, this looks like a subdivide. Is that the same thing or is that a subdivide? I can't tell. Let me see when this was sold. Oh, well, somebody put a sweet house on that bad boy. That looks pretty cool. Let's check this out. So this was sold one fit 25 of 2024.
Hmm.
So let's see what the price per acre is on this. 325. Oh, one too many zeros divided by 6.14. So 52,000 per acre. All right, so we have 52K per acre. Let's see. Obviously, that's the same thing as what this is, but this looks like it might have been the listing. Let me see if I can get in there and see what this is. Why won't this load for me today? That's a bummer. 116. Okay. That was a different date, correct?
Hmm.
Okay, cool. So this is two different parcels, and it looks like it is two different parcels on here too. Because that looks like a smaller parcel to me than 6 acre, or that maybe, I don't know. It looks like it's two different parcels, right? So it looks like somebody split this in two,
Yeah.
is what it looks like. So that's 52,000 per acre. Let's go over to this one. Let's check this out. Ooh, is that lake frontage? These two pictures look different, no?
Yes, they do.
I was like, wait a minute. This one has a lake on it, and this one has a cornfield on it. Interesting. Okay. No data available, of course. Mike Miller's old estate. I don't know. Mike Miller must be some dude from
Right,
down
right
there.
across from Mike Miller's old estate.
Yeah. Okay, so it's 6.25 original acres, and he's having it surveyed for 5.1. Interesting. But these look like two totally different pictures, no?
Yeah, the road doesn't even look the same. Is it across? Is it the one across the way?
I don't know. Let me see if I can get the. Why won't this load for me? That's a bummer. Maybe they just chopped it short here. I think
Hmm.
it's just this right here. I think it's just right here. And I bet this person is gonna buy this section of it.
Gotcha.
I mean, that's what I would do if I was that person. I'm like, give me the lake frontage or the little pond frontage or whatever you want to call that. But that's kind of interesting though. Um, and let's see what this must be Mike Miller's place. 2.4 million. Clearly a nice house. I would maybe look at this one. 385 divided by 5.1. That's 75,000 an acre. That helps. 75, we have 52. Let me see what other. This is going to be right up against a highway, I think. Maybe not. What is this? It's like a school. Interesting. Not sure that's really probably a good comp. So maybe you go and you take those two, right? This is probably a more accurate one. The 52
Yeah.
is probably more accurate. So then what I would do is I'd run off 52 an acre. So 9.85 times 52,000, not 500, that's 512, right? So we have 512, 8.91 times 52,000 an acre, you have 463, and 10.24 times 52,000, you have 532. So 532 plus 512 plus 463. Oh, I totally messed that one up. 532 plus. So you have about 1.5 million in value through here, right? 1.507
Mhm.
in value. So if you can get it for 800, good spread. As it sits at 1.6, the number like doesn't even make sense at retail after you've gone through the whole subdivide process and you paid for all the survey work and soil tests and everything like that. That's going to cost you probably $20,000, I would imagine, in fees and everything like that, depending on what you need to do for that. Maybe 15,000 if you can find it for cheaper in terms of like getting access to there and easements. And you probably got to do a little bit of land clearing through here to show a little area where you can put a house, right? Or at least, give people access to the parcel,
Mhm.
right? Obviously, once they get back here, they can see it all good and fine, but you might need to clear trees all the way through here. That might be a $10,000, right?
Yeah.
So there's going to be some money that's going to go into it. And that's 52,000, that's like at retail price. That's if you don't have to get any sort of discounts or commissions or anything like that that you're starting to account for. So really what you're looking at, right, is say I'm going to be super conservative, super quick math.
Mhm.
I have AI that helps me do all this, but say you're at 1.4 then, right?
Mhm.
1.4. So say you have $100,000 between commissions, closing costs. You're probably going to have a little bit more. Commissions, closing costs, subdivide costs, all of that stuff. You're going to be down to $1.4 million, right? And then once you get that 1.4, then you have to subtract whatever amount of money you can get off of the parcel, right? Or off of your sale price.
Yeah.
So in this case, if you go 1.4, obviously if you buy it for 1.6, that's not going to work. You're going to be negative $200,000. But say you were to get it for 900K, right?
Yeah.
Starting to look decent, right? For sure, right? Now all of a sudden 1.4 to 9 minus 900, you have a 300K spread. There's probably going to be miscellaneous other costs in there. You're probably looking at closer to like a $200,000 spread. However, could potentially be really good. Could potentially be really good. All just depends on how these tracks would sell. This 10.24 acre track would probably be a little bit less, I would imagine. It's probably not going to get that 52K per acre just because it is a flag lot, however
Yeah.
you want to call it that. If they don't want flag lots too, another thing you can do is you can also just do one of these kind of dandies. And essentially just kind of like build this out so it's more of like a skinny point. Oop.
Hmm.
But you kind of get what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So yeah, this essentially this 3 acre here, and then you're going in here, and oh look, now we have 10.4 again. Same math, just now all of a sudden it's not a flag lot anymore. Um, so different ways to kind of piece that together, but that's how I would roughly look at like how to price the land and then how to price it for a subdivide. The biggest challenge with this is going to be funding sources.
Hmm.
And that's something too that I think is really important and worth noting. Um, Even if the economics and I mean maybe Tommy can help you get some funding on something like this, but even if the economics on something like this, right? Say you have a $300,000 spread, the challenging piece with that is not many people will want to fund this. And so they either don't want to put the money up, it's not worth the risk. Once it gets subdivided, they might be able to lend on it, right? Because now all of a sudden it's just land. However, seller notes or, first position, second position notes, these all make significant changes in terms of like how people will fund a project like this.
Hmm.
So even though it might have a really healthy spread, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's a good one to actually subdivide,
Yeah.
which I know is kind of crazy, right? You're like $300,000 spread. Like, why would it not be good? Like, why would not somebody not want to go in on that, right? And there's a healthy fund in through there. It's just the risk reward of it and how banks and private money looks at these types of projects is just different than how an investor might look at that project, if you will.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Well, cool. Well, thanks for the breakdown.
Yeah. Does that kind of help answer your question a little bit about how to subdivide that and how to kind of here's, because they're going to look at it at the 30-acre parcel price, just
Yeah.
FYI. So, like anyone who's funding it is going to look at that 30-acre parcel price and look at how much that is worth. Because if everything goes and falls apart, they want to know how much the raw land is actually worth and then how much it is worth like when they can fire sale it, right? Or 80% of market value. And then they might only lend to you, 50 or 40 or 30% of market value, right? So the funding piece can be certainly a little bit more challenging process of it, but there's ways to get around it and, ways to mitigate that risk as well in terms of like contracts and terms. But that's kind of how I would look at it. Now, no, Tommy, do you have any insight? I mean, I want to put you on the spot here about the funding piece of it, but if you have some more insight about funding and subdivides, awesome. If not, that's totally okay too.
Yeah, I'd have to talk to my brother, Seth. My brother's a mortgage broker out in Orange County, and they do a lot of things that, they can get creative with hard money and stuff. So I'm just kind of getting my, I'm sitting here listening a lot, trying to learn as much as I can so that I can talk to my brother and be like, what do you know about funding for land?
Yeah.
Uh, so I can talk to him, and I don't know off the top of my head um, how they do land, but it's definitely something to learn because I'm interested in this. Seth, is this part of you doing your due diligence before you pitch them, or have you talked to them at all?
I haven't talked with them at all. No, it was just kind of looking around. I'm still getting my feet wet in this whole thing too. And so I'm just
Yeah.
like, okay, this place looks interesting. Looks like there's some good growth in this area. It's right outside of Memphis. Um, just on like a 30,000 foot view, I was kind of trying to figure out, okay, where's some expansion here? And then saw this come up. And at first glance, I was like, okay, this looks expensive, but it's nice and square or rectangular. So I'm like, this could be a good option to possibly subdivide. And so I was just kind of wanted to hear what Sam had to say just about the how you kind of conceptualize something like this.
Yeah, and I wonder if they would take into consideration that like a couple miles north are these major developments. So there is,
Right next to it.
you
Yeah.
know what I mean? It's like could a bank look at that and be like, okay, this is expanding, like I would
Mhm.
fund this. I don't know.
I
Yeah.
think I think maybe, I think the challenging piece with this part of it, right, is that like this is a very different project compared
Yeah.
to like this, right? And here you go. Here's something kind of interesting, right? See these lots? right? So they call these cigarette lots, right? Just long and skinny.
Yeah.
Big old cigarette lots just stacked on top of each other. This was definitely someone's
Bigger
land right
parcel.
here, these four, and somebody literally said, I'm gonna subdivide that. And then joop, joop, one, two, three, four, and just made it super long and skinny. Some counties allow this. Clearly, this one possibly might. However, most don't allow these cigarette lots. Normally, they have certain dimensions, width versus length, that you like a ratio that you have to stay within, or like a footage that you have to stay within. Sometimes they have like the lot must be 200 feet wide or whatever it might be. Um, but maybe it's because this is clearly somebody did exactly that, was just subdivide it into that, and you can tell now, obviously, a whole bunch of small, small, small homes. This is the lot that we were looking at. This is your comp right here,
Hmm.
right? Regency Home Builders, yeah, no surprise. Right? 154K. Oh, they bought it for more than that. But that would be, now they're going to put a whole bunch of these smaller parcels on there as well. And so that's kind of where they're looking at, how much they're doing. Here's a minor subdivide, right? And so they're probably going to look more like banks, I don't think are going to look at these smaller ones. Now, I don't know for sure, but I mean, maybe if they look at that, that would be helpful. I mean, for getting funding, it would certainly be helpful. I would just be very surprised if they did. That's all. Just because this is kind of a different project, if you will.
Mm.
But I don't know. I mean, I'm not a banker. That would definitely be a question for your for your brother Tommy to try and figure
Yeah,
out.
well, then also I'm thinking like, well, so the seller wants 3 acres because I'm thinking like, what if you could just kind of if you got it at 800,000, then you just kind of wholesale the rest to a developer or something, and
Yeah.
just like, can't you
Hmm.
do that if you wanted to make the project super easy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah, yeah. You very well might be able to do that, right? The challenging piece with that is, you know, how if you're going to wholesale it, right? That developer could potentially just buy this on market as is, right? So, you might go, hey, I'll buy it for 1.3 million. I'm totally arbitrary number, okay? Totally making this up. Hey, Mr. Seller, Mrs. Seller, I'll buy this for 1.3 million. And they say, okay, great. I'll give you your 3 acres, no problem. You can have your 3 acres in your southwest corner, just like how you wanted. I'll give you that, and then I'll buy the rest for $1.3 million. And then you try and go and find a developer where you're like, hey, I'll give you this for $1.4 million, right? Or whatever that might be to
Mhm.
try and, take that and then take the spread. The challenging piece with that is whenever you're going to bring that into a developer, they have to do this entire process here, right? So they have to do all the homes, all the roads, all the infrastructure in through there. And that just takes a lot of time. The the major subdivide or an entitlement project, similar to like what this is, that probably took a couple years to get it fully approved and good to go. And that might go in front of like committees, public hearings, that piece of it. So the holding cost on something like this might be really high, depending on the contract style of it, if that makes sense. Normally, if you're going to wholesale it to a developer, normally there has to be some sort of value add. So maybe you clear all the trees for them, right? And so
Mm.
now you can build in that value. Although that might not build that much value for them, it's probably going to be more of an expense for you versus them just running their bulldozers over it, over all the trees and knocking them down. But even that, right? So in order to clear maybe 30 acres or however much this is, right? 27 acres, because you're not going to touch theirs, 27 acres. And, you have probably what, I don't know, 20 or like let's say 15 acres of woods that you need to clear on through here, right? 15 acres, say it's, 10,000 an acre to clear it because it's totally clear. Then you're at 150,000 in costs. I'm just like throwing out numbers, right? To give you an idea, you'd have to get this pretty dang low price wise and then account for a lot of holding costs in order to get it to a developer and a developer to say yes on it. So I don't want to like shoot it down. I don't want to be negative Nancy. I just want to be like realistic with like a price point like this. Like you'd still probably need to get it for close to that same 900K in order to then sell it to a developer for 1.3 million after putting $200,000 into it for clearing, closing costs, holding costs, terms and whatever, and then also to have a developer lined up. Because I imagine that there's probably quite a few developers in this area, right? A lot of neighborhoods going in, right?
Mhm.
But there's probably the same, probably four or five builders who have probably built all of those neighborhoods. So what happens then if you can't find a developer who wants it? Now you put one point, or now you have this piece of land, you're into it for about 1.1 and the value of it's only 800K. Oy. Not necessarily a bad thing, but I mean that's how people lose money in land for sure, is taking swings. But it's, like I was talking with somebody today, they're asking me about an entitlement project and if I wanted to help with funding and that kind of thing. And essentially, he was he's looking at getting it fully entitled. And I was telling him the entitlement, and it's his first entitlement. And so he's kind of like learning the process of it. He has somebody who's trying to kind of help him through it a little bit, but doesn't want to help him with the capital raise portion of it. And so I just told him, I'm like, entitlements, in my opinion, now this is not like everyone's opinion, entitlements are home runs or strikeouts. There's no singles, there's no doubles, there's no triples. It's a home run, you're making millions of dollars, or it's a strikeout and you're losing a bunch of money, six figures of money. And I think it's just a higher risk reward. Now, if you do your due diligence, it's a home run more than it's a strikeout. But that's another, I think, really challenging piece of the entitlement process is that there's so many moving variables, and all it takes is one committee member or one, you know, person in the area who totally convinces everyone else to shut it down. And all of a sudden, because of one person's opinion, your whole project is sideways, right? So that can be really, really tough and just requires a lot of due diligence in the background when you're starting to look at like full entitlement piece on a piece of land like this.
Or
Hey,
like
Stephanie, what's
interest rates
that?
could go. I was gonna say interest rates could go up too, and then the builders are like, "Oh, we're not gonna be able to sell a home. Never mind," and back out completely as well.
100%. There's so many deals. I've talked to, I think, three or four people in the last 2 or 3 weeks who have entitlement deals in Florida that like developers have backed out on. And it's like, yeah, this sucks. We're into it for $1.2 million, right? And we're trying to sell it for 2.3, retail's 2.7. And that like they can't even sell it for $500,000 under retail because like the developers, like it just doesn't make sense to develop it right now. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's another really, really valid point too, right? Like you can get all the way down this thing and all of a sudden mortgage rates can go from 5% to 9% and you're just kind of crap, and that might change. I mean, I don't know what interest rates look like in 2 years, right? But what if this sucker takes 2 years to get fully entitled and dirt going and, being able to actually get on it? Crap, you know, kind of in trouble. So,
Yeah.
but again, home run or strikeout. That's my opinion. I don't know. I don't know if it's super accurate. I'm not big into the entitlement game. That hasn't been where I've lived. So maybe in the future. But Stephanie, you had a question. Thanks for joining today too.
Thank you.
Yeah, what's your
So
question?
I know of a seller who has some property in Central Texas.
Hmm.
It's a ranch, but it really is out in the middle of nowhere.
Okay.
Uh, and it's probably 16 miles, 16, 17 miles from the nearest town, which is really not very big either. So is this worth even looking at?
Yes, because there are people who want to buy ranches and people who like that is like their ideal world, right? Is that they're like, I don't want to be by anything else. I want to be 20 miles from the nearest town and everything. So yeah, I would say that it's still definitely worth looking at. You know, the biggest thing that you're looking at there is just the price point.
Right.
Because if it's out in the middle of the sticks, it might be a little bit harder to sell. So your days on market might be a little bit longer.
Okay.
And so then you just have to look at like terms on it and see if you can get better terms, see if you can get a longer due diligence period if you're going to sign it, or, you know, if you want to work out some sort of seller finance note or some sort of agreement where, you know, hey, you know, I'll help you sell it, but, you know, I'll give you this plus, you know, this much commission, XYZ, or this percentage. You just have to get creative around it, I guess, is what I'm trying to get to is the more creative you can get with the terms on there, especially in things that are really, really rural the better because sometimes it doesn't sell right away.
Okay. So, well, do you want to take a look at it?
Sure. Yeah. Do you want to look at it right now?
I suppose if you have a
All right.
minute.
Yeah. Fire away. Do you have the address?
Yes, I do. Let me grab it.
Sure.
It's 16323 FM 218 Pottsville.
Kind of look like it. Way out in the middle of nowhere here.
This is in the middle of nowhere.
It really is in the middle of nowhere. Holy cow. All right. Not quite West Texas, but not quite on the main central drag corridor here.
Right.
All right. Cool. And what acreage is it? Do you know how many
Okay.
acres it is?
It's 150.
150. Bet this is it.
Yeah, and the triangle.
Yep. So it looks like it's these two.
Right.
All right. Okay, so they want to sell it.
They do.
All right.
Hmm.
Awesome.
How do you find out how much it's worth,
Yeah.
without me telling you what they want for it?
Oh, this is a game. I see. I see.
Well, I
Stephanie
just don't
comes in
want
here
it.
and just is like, let's have a game. I love it. All
I
right.
don't want to influence, your professional opinion. That's what, you know.
Sam's comping abilities in the middle
I,
of nowhere, Texas.
I know
Yeah.
that's essentially what I'm going to get, which of course too, I'm going to try and show you guys how to do it, which Texas is a non-disclosure
Yeah,
state. And
you can't
so
even look at the
So
you're
it's
price.
hard.
Yeah.
It's hard,
which
right?
Seth and I were talking on Monday about this, about how hard and challenging it is to do a non-disclosure state. And I was trying to figure out a good way to get better comps on a non-disclosure state without actually like diving into the MLS. Now I have a back channel that I can use to try and get into the MLS. I have a back channel that I can use for that.
Hmm.
But I want to try and show you guys how to do it. And so my AI that has a back channel doesn't really help you guys. Um, so let's take a look at this. All right. Challenge accepted.
I'm
Challenge
glad you're
accepted.
a good sport.
Challenge accepted. Let's see where we're at here. All
Okay.
right. So we have two properties, and I think they're somewhat close. Pull that over there. Let's see here. I'm just getting an idea of where we're at here. Looks like that's the Indian Gap. All right, so these aren't far away. I think the parcel's like 625. 625. I'm pretty dang close. All right. So
Kind of right by
parcel,
that 218.
yeah. So parcel's like right in here. So look at this. We got two comps that are comps but
Oh.
not comps. So let's check them out.
Yeah,
Let's
they're a
see where
little bit
we're at.
smaller than this one in particular.
Yep. Yep, but it'll give us a estimation of it. Okay. So in Texas, because it's one of the non-disclosure states, and I did some research,
Mhm.
Texas, Utah, Idaho, Wyoming, Montana, New Mexico, North Dakota, Kansas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alaska, and Missouri. Those are all your non-disclosure states because I was diving into this trying to solve
Wow.
this problem here. So there are a bunch of non-disclosure states. So what I normally look at is what was it listed for? 735. Clearly way over because then what was that? 14 days later, they had a 26% price reduction.
Hmm.
And they said, whoa, maybe too much. 2 days later, 9% increase again. And
Okay.
then you can see it went contingent and it went pending. So we don't know what it's sold for. However, we have an idea that it's probably right around this 580 to 595 mark,
And
somewhere in
what
there.
was that? Was that the 92,000 or 92 acres?
98.
90.
98.
Okay. Okay.
98. So we're gonna say, what did I say? Five. We'll give them the benefit of the doubt and say that they went 585. All right. So
Okay.
585,000 divided by 98.04. That gives us $5,966 per acre. All right. So that gives us a general start. Let's look at this one. Nice buck. I don't know if anyone else here hunts, but that pretty nice deer. All right.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Let's see what we got here. 112. Fantastic hunting. That's what they're really kind of advertising it at. All right. This also was listed a long time ago. Didn't sell, right? So didn't sell for 9 months or whatever that is right there. And
Hmm.
then listed back up for sale 845. And then almost a month later it went contingent and then pending. So 845, we'll say that they got 840 for this one. I feel like
Okay.
I'm being generous here on this, but we'll say they got almost close to asking. And so that is 7,451 per acre. All right. So 7,451 plus 5,966. Divide that by two. That gives us approximately 6,708 per acre. And so I'm gonna do that. And so how many acres do we say it was total?
152?
152.
No, I'm sorry. It's 150.2, I think, actually.
150.2. All right. 150.2.
I think it is.
All right.
I saw on I think I saw on his map. It was 150. It's either 150. Yeah.
Let's just do
I
the
think
math ourselves here. Let's check it
150.2
out. And 17.7. 151.82.
was,
So 151.82.
oh, 151
Mm-hmm.
to 1.82.
All
Okay.
right. So my comp, 151.82. And then if I just take these two, which is normally I want more comps, but those are pretty close in size and area. And at $6,708 per acre. Now it's higher acreage, so it's probably going to be a little bit less price point. But they want that would give us an estimation of $1.018 million asking price or retail value.
Okay.
What are
Okay.
they wanting for it? Because want
That's
and a comp are different.
right. That's pretty close to what they were wanting. That's pretty close. Like they want probably around 6,800.
Per acre.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So 6,800 per acre. And if they want that, honestly, I'd tell them go put it on the market. So they want 1.03 and I have 1.01.
Right.
So the challenging piece there, how fast do they want to move it? Are they in a hurry to move it or are
Mm,
they not?
no, he's not. I mean, he talks out of both sides of his mouth, really, because he says he wants to sell it, but at the same time,
Yeah.
he's not in a hurry. And he hasn't been in a hurry. So I talked to him about this property um a couple months ago, and he does not want to put it on the market.
Okay. But he wants to get full over market value. Doesn't want to put it on the market, but wants over market value.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Possibly, yeah, I guess.
It's okay. It's okay if he does. I
I don't when push comes to shove, if he had an offer in front of him, I don't he might take it. Um,
yeah. I would say realistically, the high end of that would be like 950 is probably like a high full market price offer for that. That's 6,200 per acre.
okay.
That would be my guess as to what like that piece of land would actually trade for.
Okay. Would that be on market or would that be, kind of on some back channels of who knows who and get it
On
sold?
market. That'd be on market.
Okay.
Yeah. So the big dilemma that you have is that on market gets the most amount of eyeballs, also
Mhm.
demands the highest price, generally
Right.
speaking, right?
Right.
Not too many people buy off market over value, at least on land. A lot of people will do it for houses, right? Especially in selective, exclusive, high-end areas, they will buy off market over price. However, that is not really a case in the land world. So if he wants highest price to get the most eyeballs, he should list on market. If he doesn't want people tromping through his land, doesn't want it on market, he's going to have to take some sort of haircut on it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so taking some sort of haircut on it is going to be it sounds like something that he doesn't want to do. He's also too going to have to find an end buyer right off off the bat of it, right? So the challenge in somebody who's like an investor in the land space is if you want a higher purchase price, right? Normally, let me kind of back up. I normally give landowners three offers if I think it's appropriate. The first two for sure, and then maybe a third one. The first one is a cash offer, right? And that cash offer, it's the easy button. It's 14 to 30 day close, and depending on the land, and it's just quick, clean, done, right? That is also too the most discounted price, right? It's the lowest price, it's the fastest, but it's the easiest, right? So you're trading money for convenience.
Right.
Price number two, or option number two, is I'll do an assignable contract where a little bit higher money, but I also too have a lot more time to try and close on that, right? Maybe 90 to 120 days, right, to close on it versus like 30, right? So now you go from 1 month to close and get your cash to now 3, 4 months to get your cash. With an assignable contract, within my assignable contracts, is that I want to be able to market the property, especially on the MLS. If I'm going to give you more money for it, I need to market it on the market because I need the most amount of eyeballs for it because I want to get the highest price.
Mm-hmm.
So he probably won't allow you to do that because he doesn't want it on market. Or and so that's why you need to figure out, does he not want to list it on market, or does he not want people to see that it's on market and his neighbors to know that's on market? because those are two different things on there. So because if he doesn't want to personally deal with everyone on market, that's fine. We can do an assignable contract. I'm happy to do all of that stuff, all the listing, all the back and forth and negotiation, blah blah blah. He just knows that he's going to get a certain price, right?
Hmm.
And so those are like the first two options of it, and that's what you need to know on he doesn't want on market. Well, what does that mean? Does that mean that he doesn't want like to deal with the realtor and all that stuff on market? And he just wants to know, hey, at this day I'm gonna get this price. Or is it that he literally doesn't want MLS, he doesn't want people walking on the land and all that stuff? Well, it's gonna be really hard to find somebody who's willing to buy 152 acres without actually stepping foot on it
Right.
and paying market value, right? So it's kind of like I want to say, you know, having cake and eating it too, right?
Right.
But you gotta there has to be some sort of trade-off on it. Offer number three would be a seller finance offer. But for something like this, where it's this rural, I wouldn't even do that because I don't know how soon it would sell, right? So I would say, hey, I can get you a higher price on a seller finance offer. However, my terms would need to be that I don't have any payments to you for 6 months, 9 months, 12 months
Hmm.
because I don't know how, I mean, it might sell to the neighbor in 7 days, amazing, or it might sit on the market for 400 days, right? And so if I'm going to take on that risk and do all the marketing and doing all that back end work, I
Hmm.
need to know that I'm not going to be just throwing money at him for no particular reason, if that makes sense.
Right. Hmm.
Yeah. So this one would be, I would potentially do a seller finance, but it would be like extremely long terms, more favorable to me kind of piece just because of how far out in in the boonies it is.
Okay.
So does that kind of help answer a little bit of that
Yeah.
question?
Yeah.
I know it's kind of a complicated um answer, but in terms of like realistically, what is it going to move at is probably like that 950-ish range. Maybe a little bit higher, but those two comps that are really close here are probably pretty good anchor points for what they're looking for.
Were
It's
they
just a matter of,
recent?
yeah, both these were, I believe. I think, well, this one's 2024, so it's not super recent. So that was 2 years ago. This one, 2025, almost a year ago now. So they're getting older by the day. The 2024 one's going to be really hard. 2025 is going to be really hard. Land values, I want to
Go
say
ahead.
they've gone down, but they've come back down to earth since being crazy high in 2020, 2021, 2022.
Hmm.
So there's also that piece of it too. A lot of the people now think it's still worth those prices of what it was worth
Yeah.
um, many years ago, and that's not necessarily the case anymore.
Okay. So would you be interested in talking with the seller to
Sure.
see if you could work out a deal with him?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, at the worst case scenario, right, we give them some education about what the land is realistically worth and what it like kind of set some realistic expectations for him. But yeah, I'd be certainly happy to talk with him and get on the phone and just see what his circumstance is and see what he's wanting and kind of, if I can't help him, point him in the right direction of somebody who might be able to.
Okay. All right. Well, um, do you have do you have agents in this area that would be able to list it for him?
I can certainly find some. I have some friends who do a lot of work in West Texas. I have some people who do a lot of work outside of like the main drag down here through Austin and Waco. And so I imagine that there's probably if I don't have somebody on my list, I certainly can find somebody who would be willing to take on that listing for sure.
Okay.
Hmm.
Okay. All right. Well then do you want do you want me to set an appointment with him?
Sure. What I'm gonna do is I just dropped my email in the chat there. Can you see that?
Mm, yes.
Perfect. And so go ahead, you can certainly email me and then shoot me an email and then just say, hey, I'm from the office hours or whatever, and I'd be happy to, want to set up this appointment, what's the best way, and then we can kind of go from there. That sound good?
Sure.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Cool.
Okay. Well,
Thank you,
thank you.
Stephanie.
Appreciate it.
Yeah,
All right.
absolutely.
Well, hopefully we can help him get it sold.
Yeah. One way or another, like I said, if it doesn't work out, like it's totally fine. At least we can point them in the right direction.
Okay. All right. Sounds
Awesome.
good. All right. Well, I'll
Cool.
send you an email and then what will we just connect on the phone later?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, shoot me an email and I'll shoot it right. I'll shoot you all the contact info and everything, and we can figure out a time to make it work.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll also
Hey,
too, I'm gonna put my number here for I'll throw that in there too. Feel free to text me as well if you desire, if that's a little bit easier too.
Okay. Well, all right. Thank you.
Cool. Yeah.
hey Sam, I'm Christina. Got a quick
Hey,
question
Christina.
for you. How are you
Awesome.
doing?
I'm good. How are
I'm
you?
good. I'm
How
new
can I
to all
help?
this, new to all this land flipping. I've been getting interested in it the past few weeks because I've been
Mhm.
following this guy on Instagram. But I wanted to see like when you buy land, do you build on it or do you wholesale it to someone else?
So, me personally, I tend to sell it on retail market. So, I am technically considered a wholesaler. Normally, what I'll try and do is I'll try and do some sort of improvement upon it, whether it be clearing a tree or doing like a subdivide on it or whatever that may be, bringing some utilities into it. I'll try and add value in some way, shape, or form, um, in terms of like trying to help increase value or make it more desirable to purchase. I don't go down the full development route. In the future, I would love to, but right now, that's not really my MO, so to speak. Right now, it's really not like what I'm looking to do. I do know a bunch of people who do develop land. And
Mhm.
so if that's something where I'm not sure about it, or, if I need an opinion on it, I can certainly give those people a ring and see if they have better ideas on it.
Yeah, because I'm starting to get interested in land wholesaling. Just
Awesome.
talking to sellers, connect them with the builders.
Sure.
So yeah, so I'm assuming you wholesale too, right?
Yes, correct.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, cool.
Yep. So that's more like that assignable contract that I was just talking about, right? That's more like your standard kind of wholesale or cash buy. That's another standard kind of wholesale kind of item that most wholesalers will do. Yeah,
Cool.
absolutely. Welcome to the land space, though. Hopefully
Yeah,
you've been
I'm
enjoying it.
excited. Yeah.
Yeah. Does that make sense, though?
Yeah.
I think that gets
I looked at your buy
confused.
box too. I was checking out your buy box, see
Oh,
what you're
awesome.
buying. Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like
So
that gets construed a lot with where a lot of people don't understand like what it means when I say I buy and sell land or I buy land or whatever that may be. So I appreciate the question.
yeah, yeah, because I'm kind of excited. I kind of looking forward to working with builders too. So if I can like wholesale land to them, talk to land sellers like off market. Yeah,
Yeah,
nationwide.
100%. 100%. Because those are, if you can find the buyers, that's half of the trouble, so to speak, with wholesaling is that it's just more challenging to find those buyers because especially in like rural areas, normally it's not a developer unless you're doing like a entitlement deal, right? So normally it's somebody who's going to buy a piece of land and going to hold on to it for years. So it's not like it's repeat business over and over and over and over and over again, which is what a lot of house wholesalers will do because they can sell it to somebody who's going to live there and homestead there, or they can sell it to an investor.
Mm.
Well, selling land to investors really like unless you find somebody who's land banking and trying to just get a whole bunch of properties in a certain specific area, maybe in like the path of growth or something like that, then maybe you can. But those are very, very, very specific buyers. And they have very, very specific criteria and specific price points that you need to get the land at in order to get them to buy it. So a little bit more challenging on that side. So disposition of land is always one of the more challenging or pieces that a lot of people struggle with.
Mm.
Sam, do you have a way to find off-market land? Or do you find proper like do you mail out mailers? Or do you like go on Zillow and then call them, tell them their property is worth their is listed for too much, I'll give you a cash offer, or how do you go about that?
Both.
Okay.
Both is the short answer. So yes, I do mailers. That is my main marketing, so to speak. And then I also to look at on-market properties as well. So I'll look at like something like what Seth brought up today, right? I'll take a look at that type of property and I'll look at it and I'll go, huh, okay, well, it's worth about this much, this much, this much, okay. You know, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, this is what I want to do. This is who I am. This is what I want to do with it, Mr. Agent. And, this is, the price point that I'd have to be at. I understand it's probably not going to work. However, if it does, let me know, and on market, it's a volume game. It's just a pure numbers and volume and finding parcels like what Seth found today, where like
Mhm.
it could work, but you have to drop that price way down, right? That's probably the most challenging piece of it because a lot of these agents will either list land for high price or, they don't understand what you're trying to do or they don't like investors. I've had a lot of agents hang up, hey, my name's Sam, I'm an investor, this is what I do. Click, and they'll just hang up on me because they don't want to deal with investors. They don't because they had a sour or bad interaction or something like that with them. So
Uh,
those can become a little bit more challenging. I tend to like the mail the best. Um, in terms of like marketing channels for off market, right? You have a few different ones. Mail is number one. That's the one that I like the most because most of the time those are going to be warm leads that are coming in, right? Because they got your mailer, they see it, they called, they're actively calling, and they're actively interested in selling you their land. Now you will get the tire kickers who, oh, well, just kind of curious as to how much you're willing to sell it for or how much, you're willing to pay for it. But mail is number one. That tends to be the warmest leads. They also tend to be the most expensive leads.
mm,
You have cold calling, which is number two. Um, in terms of probably I don't want to say it's highest likelihood because people will debate that until the end of time about what one works the best, but they tend to be the second warmest type of leads, and they are very hit and miss as well. Kind of expensive, kind of not. You can pull lists and then hire some VAs to cold call and stuff like that. Like there's other ways that you can get around some of that stuff, but there are regulations around cold calling.
mm,
Number three is texting. Some people argue that this is a warmer lead than mail and whatever. It's probably the cheapest out of all, second cheapest behind like on market do-it-yourself Zillow stuff. But that's kind of and texting. There's a lot of rules and litigation around that, and so you have to really watch those rules around how much you can text, what you can say in your text, what you have to say in your text, and stuff like that. And there are people who will sit out there and own piece of land and then just hope that you text them and then throw you a lawsuit. And so try
mm.
and see if there's, little trolls, if you will, to do that. And then the fourth type of marketing really is like on market stuff. And that is purely like, finding something that's on market, calling them up, hey, Mr. or Mrs. Agent, I'm interested in this land. Not sure if there's a possibility, but if it is, tell me. So.
And prop stream too, right? Can't you find off-market sellers, vacant land owners on prop stream?
Yes, so you can find, I mean, PropStream, I use Land Insights and Land Portal, so there's land specific software for that as well. There's tons of different softwares where you can find like off-market people to call. And so you can try and take your best stab at those type of people in terms of like cold calling yourself. But I would say it's kind of scattered all over the board in terms of like what is like the best. And people will highly debate mail versus texting versus calling versus Zillow. It all just kind of depends if, if you're doing entitlements or subdivides, like there's a higher likelihood that you can find something on Zillow or on market. However, it's just a numbers game and like figuring out what works and what hoops to jump through and that kind of thing. So that does that kind of answer your question, Tommy, a little bit? I do
Yeah.
mail. There's really like four different ways to market. Um, and it's kind of like pick your poison, if you will. There's pros and cons to each. Mail is probably the easiest one. It does cost the most though. So
Hmm.
I don't know, take it for what it's worth. This
Yeah.
is different. Yeah. Did you have a follow-up question?
No, I did just plug. I'm back up in New England, so I'm like
Oh,
looking around up in New England. So I plugged
yeah.
in Zillow. This is a town over from where I grew up, so I know it's a nice town and stuff, but I guess I don't know, like, is it Land Insights that you were on and have a subscription to be able to pull up like road frontage and like map out
Yeah.
the parcels and stuff?
Yes. So this is Land Insights, and Land Insights, you can also, they do have a free version now, which is amazing. And essentially, like I have a paid subscription to Land Portal, and I have a free version of Land Insights, mainly because of the AI tools that I use. Land Insights just hasn't released the API keys and the MCP for Land Insights, and so I swapped over to Land Portal in order to for my AI to work really efficiently.
Hmm.
Um, However, Land Insights is coming out with that, apparently coming out with it, and so maybe I'll swap back. I do prefer actually Land Insights just because I think the user functionality is easier, but like this is a free version of Land Insights that I'm on right now. So you
Oh,
can see like anything that has the little lightning bolt is the paid plan.
paid.
Mhm.
Gotcha.
So you can skip trace, but that also does cost money.
But if you know
But
how to
otherwise,
comp, you don't really need a comp tool. You just go to Zillow.
yeah. I mean, the comp tool is really nice and easy because it's like it will give you a whole different page that's super
Uh,
easy to use, I will say. But I mean, you can use Zillow to comp as well. Like it just might not be as accurate. Yeah. Does this look like about where it is?
I
Mhm.
let's see.
Otherwise, let me see if I can do this here.
It looks like it's a little more woodsy. It's definitely off a road.
All right, let's see where we are on a map here. Um, oh, New Haven, Chester. That is not where it is.
No, it should be a little north of Westbrook. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It kind of,
Over
yeah.
in here,
Pond
right?
Meadow, you're looking at it right there.
Yeah. Okay. Right next to Hidden Lake, there's 81, 148. Am I missing something? Where's 81? 163. Hold on. Let me zoom out here for a quick second, see where we're at here. Okay. There's Westbrook. So it is significantly northwest of that. All right. And there's Killingworth. And I love the Northeast names. They're just so brutal. Killingworth. All right. So you got Killingworth, and then there's 81. That kind of goes straight up from there. I'm assuming that's 81. Okay, cool. And then we go 148.
Yeah, I think I just saw the pond on your other.
Yeah, Pond
The pond
Meadow.
has a specific shape.
Let me take some of these data layers so it's not so crazy on here. That pond right there. Hidden Lake. Hidden Lake. Okay, we're getting close. We're getting closer.
Uh,
Sorry, gang, bear with me. All right, we're getting real close now. All right, Pond Meadow Road kind of goes loops up and around and then here. But it's not that giant piece, but this is what it's showing. Because how many acres did you say it was?
16, 16.72.
Wonder if it has. Oh, flanked B killer trust property. Okay, that's this. Trust. Cranberries, Killingworth.
So that looks
Bacon.
like 19.
Yeah,
I just popped on Zillow. I'm like, what's kind of near me? So I was
sure.
looking
Oh,
and
there
the
you go.
price seemed decent. Uh
Let's see the parcel number. Oh, why would they do that? Okay. All right. So I think it's somewhere in here between these two because it says it kind of backs up and it's next to this. So I'm assuming that this is like a some sort of parceled off subdivide. Looks like they kind of cut it out of here.
uh
All right. Sorry. Now that I found it, what was your question? I'm sorry.
I guess basically like, if I were to call an agent and pitch this, like if you were
Mhm.
looking at something like this, would you think about just trying to get a, low ball cash offer to then relist it and flip it for more? Like say I wanted to make like, I don't know, 10 grand or something just for quick, easy money in my bank.
Mhm.
Like,
So, go ahead.
yeah, yeah, go ahead, go ahead.
So, yeah, essentially what I would try and figure out is like what I would look at. It's been on for 4 days,
Mm-hmm.
so it's really early.
Mm-hmm.
So, not going to say that you can't do it. However, if it's only been on the market for 4 days, they're probably not going to take it, especially if there's been 472 views on it, which means that it's been viewed a lot, over 100
Yeah.
times a day, right? And it has 32 saves. There's lots of freaking action on this one right now.
Yeah.
4 days, 32 saves. There's, they call it the golden ratio, if you will, which essentially is 10% of the views should be saves, right? So 472 views, theoretically, you should have 47.2 saves, theoretically.
Just
And
under.
yeah, but 32 saves, I mean, that's in 4 days, that's phenomenal, which tells me that a lot of people are interested in this, that it's probably priced fairly accurately for the area. I would
Uh,
go into Zillow and start looking at comps around that and see if there's a way where you can like find those comps. You said it's 16 acres?
yeah.
Okay. I mean, here's 13 acres. That was 355. May have the potential to be subdividable. Classic. I love that. All right. Um, cool. Thanks, Christine. Um, Yeah. So I mean, I would start kind of zooming out and taking a little bit deeper dive at some of these comps. Like here's 11 acres for 330. Let's see what this is. 10 acres, but here we go. Here's a really important piece. Look at that topo map, wholly sloped,
Yeah,
right? So like this went for significantly less. Why? Because it was so significantly sloped.
gotcha. It reduces usable acreage.
100%, 100%.
Okay.
Versus like this is a flat farm field, like
Cleared.
all day long. Yep, all day long. You can do so much with that, right? You can farm it, you can put livestock on it, you can potentially subdivide it, right? You can build a house on it and just turn that into grass. Like there's so many different possibilities with that versus like when it's really sloped like this. You can
Yeah,
put maybe a house like up here in the corner, but if that doesn't touch the road, like you're kind of like, what are you gonna do? Wind all the way up,
yeah.
driveway? Just gonna be really tough. Here's another one. Okay, here you go. So this is a great example of like doing some land clearing to show people what the possibility could be, right? They
Uh-huh.
just cleared out enough to get into the property. So then oh, wow, look, there's some nice trees around here, right? And like, that's it. But it's good enough though to show somebody to get into it. And that's 16 acres for 250.
Which is 50 more than what these guys are trying to.
Yeah. For
So
16
that's
acres versus the, where was it?
so that's a good cut. Maybe there's some motivation to just get rid of it.
Yeah, sounds like they're pricing it rather aggressively, if I'm being honest. Sounds like they're pricing this rather aggressively. 16.772, 16.72 acres.
Yeah.
Nice little like wall there, like a little stone wall, very northeastern.
Yeah.
But yeah, to me it sounds like they're probably listing this pretty aggressively. Is it worth a shot? I mean, yeah, dude, like worst they can say is no,
Yeah.
And what I would do is I would just kind of like get a little picture and idea of what it is and see if you can get out of the agent, hey, you're local to this area, Mr. David. Tell me a little bit more about this area. Like it seems like it's pretty like aggressively priced. Like, are they trying to move it real quickly? Like, do you think this is like full retail value, or do you think there's like, is this like already priced at a discount, right? And I would just throw that out there and see what they say.
Okay. Cool.
I mean, worst case scenario, they say no. This is probably market price XYZ. Well, okay. Are they, you know, are they wanting to get rid of it right away, or are they like have no time frame on it? Like if I was to come in, maybe, a lower offer, do you think they would even entertain that? Or and just kind of feel it out and see what the agent says. And if they
Yeah.
say, no, we're all firm, it's all firm cash offer right now. Firm at, 200K, we'll take it. Okay, no problem, I'm probably not a buyer at 200K, but if they decide to drop the price, I'd be happy to, you know, talk to them a little bit more about, what I could do on it. Try it out.
Okay.
Try it out.
Cool.
Give it a go. The worst that they say is no.
Yeah.
The worst they say is no. So, if that's the worst that they do, then okay, fine. But it looks like that's probably pretty aggressively priced and and you might even be able to buy it for like 190 and turn around and sell it for 225, 230. Now you have to take commissions and everything, closing costs and all that into account, but might be feasible. You probably would want, I mean, you probably want the comp to be probably 260K or higher, but you obviously do your own due diligence on that. But you probably
Yeah.
want the comp to be 260 or higher in order for you to have that 10K of profit. closing costs on one end, closing costs on the back end, the second time you sell it, right? Agent commissions and all that stuff.
Mhm.
Holding costs, XYZ. But yeah, I mean, that one actually has potential to, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if that one sells relatively quick. I'm actually gonna save it. Let's see what that. Now, because now I'm curious. Now I'm curious. I'm like, oh man, that looks like it's really aggressively priced. I'm not gonna buy it. That's all
Yeah.
good, brother. I'm not I don't take deals from people like that. That's not what I'm gonna do. But I'm just like, huh, I wonder how accurate. I feel like I'm being tested round two here versus Stephanie testing my comping skills. But awesome.
Cool. Thanks.
Yeah. Well, cool. Thanks, guys. We ran like an hour and 40 minutes. That was phenomenal. Thanks for hanging in there with me. I think how many I got a few. Jenny's still there. Pono, welcome. Thanks for showing up. I do need a photo though. So Jenny and Pono, if you're able to turn on your cameras, I would love to see your smiling faces so I can get a photo.
Hey.
There he is. Awesome. Let me get the old
Jenny's at the
gallery.
pool.
I know Jenny's always at the pool. That's what I've decided. That's what I've determined.
We live in Hawaii, so this is the background's not real, but I do live in Hawaii, so
Oh, there
I'm
you go.
always, I mean, the beach is right there, so it's
That
Nice.
sounds pretty sweet.
it is sweet.
I
Yeah.
love it. I love it. All right, smile,
Thank you so
everyone.
much, Sam. We
Yeah,
appreciate it.
absolutely. Thank you guys for coming in and hanging out for a little while. Really appreciate it. I'll be back on Friday. So if you guys want more office hours, come on back on Friday. Maybe on Friday, I don't know. I was thinking maybe we dive into like AI and how to potentially like comp on AI.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Yeah. So I have a few skills that I built on AI to kind of help underwrite that, but I'll show you guys in general like how to prompt potentially for some AI. Maybe that might be kind of a good topic. And maybe you can maybe they can figure out the non-disclosure states
Mm.
a little bit better, but I'll take a look at it. I'm still doing some research on it. I shot a text message over to one of my buddies who only works in Texas, and seeing how they comp everything, seeing that's a non-disclosure. And so I haven't received a message back, but I'm sure I'll probably get one back this afternoon. Um, but yeah, I'll I will stay up on top of the non-disclosure thing. And then also too, I'll also too, maybe we talk about AI as well on Friday, if that's of interest.
I love it, Sam. Thank you so
Great.
much.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you
Cool.
guys. I will see you
Thanks for
guys.
your time,
Thank
Sam.
you.
Did
Yeah.
you
Yeah,
already
thank you
take our
guys.
picture?
I did. Were you not
Oh,
smiling?
oh, no, no, I don't know. Maybe I was. I have, I was
You
just so happy to be with you guys. So, okay,
you
cool.
you were smiling. You were just so excited. You were so excited.
All
Yep,
right,
all good.
awesome.
All
Thanks,
right, see
guys.
you guys.
Bye.
Yeah.